Alright guys, welcome to another day in the vlog. Today we're in the E92 M3. I got a mask on my wrist in case we actually get out. Right now I'm just kind of sitting chatting with you guys in the car. But I want to talk to you a little bit about the E92 M3. I get a lot of people that ask me about the reliability of my car. For this episode of the build, today we're in Boston. Now, that's crazy. I want to talk to you a little bit about the E92 M3. I get a lot of people that ask me about the reliability of my car, maintenance, all that kind of stuff, and I want to give you guys a little bit of insight if you're planning on buying an E92 M3, things that you should expect. So there's some main things like rod bearings, stuff like that, and that's, when you get to a high mileage. I'm actually at 74,000 and have not done my rod bearings, so it's definitely on the list of things to do. Obviously, I think if you've been looking at E92 M3s, you know about rod bearings. I don't want to go over that and talk about that, a bunch of times, because I feel like it's really out there and it's known. As far as a lot of issues I've had, one thing about BMWs, and this is something I've learned from having two of them, is sensors and electronics are kind of the main things that I see go wrong, at least from what's happened to me. I can only talk about my perspective with BMWs. You can read on the forums all about what other people have had, and I think that should be a good source of info for you guys. But as far as my car, I've had a lot of electrical stuff. But to be honest, most of it has been self-inflicted. So, for example, I installed the steering wheel probably about 8 months ago or so. And when I did it, so the way that you take out the steering wheel is there's two things. There's two little holes. A flathead goes in the left side and a flathead goes in the right. And you're basically hitting these little clips that then get out this piece. So get out the airbag, right? You don't want to have an airbag in. And also, this isn't something that you buy. You keep it with the car even if you buy a new steering wheel. So there's two little pieces, took that out. When I take this out, there's one single bolt behind this. So you take this out, one single bolt, take that off. And one thing about this is whoever put on the wheel before me had put it on a little off. And so in other words, the way that it was sitting on this wasn't perfect. And what that did is make it really hard to take it off to the point where I'm tugging. So what I did is I left that bolt on, right? And I tugged to pop it off, and that helped. But there was one time where I thought I already had it off, right? And I had the bolt kind of loose, and basically I tugged off, and what I actually did was pull out the clock spring. So in here you have a clock spring that keeps all your wires from when you turn the wheel, it keeps them all from, from actually tangling up and everything like that. So the clock spring in there, I pulled it out and like by accident and basically unraveled it. And from that point I had all kinds of lights up on the dash. I had different things from like just literally all kinds of error. Like you could see like different things on this screen giving me just everything you could think of, like random stuff. But what that ended up having me do is I ended up having to actually get another clock spring, put that in, and actually didn't fix my problem. I ended up then having to go to BMW and having them fix a lot of stuff. And where I'm getting with this story is the first part of it was self-inflicted, and I think that's something to think about with BMWs. But the second part was having to actually have a BMW technician to like erase the codes to get it all fixed. I ended up messing something else internally up when I pulled that off. So that kind of led to a bunch of different problems. So I think that's something you have to kind of be mindful of with BMWs, is that there's a lot of electronics going on. Being that it's German engineering, there's a ton of like just over engineering. I mean, other than that, I really can't tell you a lot of things that I've had. I've had stuff like the comfort access doesn't want to work occasionally. So again, electronics here and there can be a little bit kind of iffy. It is at this point, this is a 2011. So it is at this point, we're pushing 10 years on this car. And I think being that it's 10 years old, it's a 200 car, one for the owner before me and then myself, and I really haven't had a lot of issues. I haven't had to do any heavy maintenance. I haven't had to replace a lot of stuff. I do drive the car hard. I do make sure though at the same time the car is always warmed up. So one thing about this car too is you can see I've been talking to you guys for about 5 minutes now, and I just want to show you guys where it is on the temperature. So you can see that we haven't even left 120. Now I know that that's not a very long time to be warming up, but just the simple fact that this is still at 120 shows you how long this car really takes to warm up. And I think that's something that people completely mess up their cars, especially on E92 M3. E92 M3, you want to rev it out. You can see actually right now, well here, let me finish what I was saying, but people want to just rev this out right when they get it. But you can see up here, right? Let me get a little closer for you guys. It's kind of hard to get in there. But you can see right, you can't really tell from that angle either. But you can see there's like the red line hasn't fully adjusted yet. So we're sitting at the red line at 7,000 right now, and that's just to warn you, you know. But even revving out a cold car to 7,000 is going to cause a lot of issues. So I think with this car coming into reasonable prices for a lot of people, there's a lot of things to think about. Number one, you're not going to find wheels and tires for cheap like you are on something like a Honda, even a lot of JDM cars. Like you're not gonna fit this with 16-inch wheels. The wheels are gonna be a little wider, which makes your tires a little more expensive. It's something you have to think about whenever you're coming to a car like this. And you also want to run good tires. Being that you have 400 horsepower, you don't want to be running tires that aren't going to be capable of holding, you know, keeping traction. Now that's I'm going to be honest, that's not a huge deal, but that's just something to think about when buying these cars. Obviously, as far as gas mileage goes, just to give you guys a realistic, so I want to give you guys a realistic thing on my gas mileage right here. So you can see I get 15 miles per gallon. So I haven't reset this in a long time, but that's pretty much what I'm averaging. So keep in mind, you're averaging 15 miles per gallon. I'm usually driving this car short distances, and I'm usually kind of driving a little obnoxious. You can see, and I pretty much always need gas. That's why you guys have seen the last couple of videos that I've just had to fill up gas. Had to fill up gas before the road trip last time, and this is after that. So, yeah. I gotta be honest though, the car's been pretty good to me. I haven't really had a lot of problems, and most E92 M3 owners I talk to, the car's pretty reliable. I think it really just comes down to maintenance, which I need an oil change right now. It comes down to maintenance. It comes down to not understanding that your car needs to warm up. It comes down to, you know, just daily care, understanding when to push your car and when not to push your car. You know, there's sometimes when I'm driving this, if you guys watched my the Canyon drive, you notice that I have a point where I start to cross over that 210 line. And because my car is not a track focused build that has a lot of additional cooling, it started to get hot after sitting at between 5,000 to 8,000 RPM for 15 minutes. Maybe not even, yeah, 15 minutes. 15 minutes straight of just sitting in that peak, the car starts to get hot. Okay, there's one thing I forgot to mention to you guys right now while we're talking. Now, again, electrical. I did have both my subs go out in this car, and I can't figure out if it's the sub or the amp. I've read all along the forums, and there's different feedback on stuff, but basically right now I have no bass in my speakers. So if I were to play you a song, actually I'm not going to because I'm going to get demonetized for this video, but if I were to play you a song right now, you'd hear that there's no bass. It almost sounds like it's coming out of iPhone speakers. So that's something I need to fix in this car, and it really comes down to electrical. That's really the only problems I've had. Now, would I buy an E92 M3 again? 100%. Like I would love to have another one of these. Even right now, I'd love to have another one. Maybe a manual transmission one to have a dual clutch and a manual. But 100% would buy another one of these cars just because there's so much character behind this car. You can argue all day long about how fast or slow a car is, but these cars have so much character and they're so much fun. Like just the sound alone is obnoxious, but it's just like it makes driving the car so much fun. If you guys are in the market and you're looking for an E92 M3 and you're trying to figure out, you know, what you should go for and what you should look at, talking a little bit about dual clutch versus manual. Well, the manual ones you can find in they seem to be around the similar price range, but there are less manual transmission ones. It was obviously an option that they had to select, therefore it's going to be less. It's going to be more rare to find one. I haven't seen that big of a difference in price between the two, but being that the manuals are more rare, you might see a hike in price. But I do think this car is a car that deserves the dual clutch, and the reason being is that this dual clutch transmission is just really, it's reactive, it's quick, it's slow by today's standards if you're comparing it to some of the high-end cars today, but it's just such a reactive transmission. Just to be able to snap through the gears, be able to really feel the car. It's obviously faster, and I'm saying that and I have a love for a six-speed manual car. The Z4M is a manual, and I love that car, but there's something about the dual clutch in this. I urge you to drive a dual clutch and drive a manual, kind of make the decision there and really feel out and say, hey, which one do I want? Also, if it's going to be a daily driver, it's something to think about. Driving a manual transmission on a daily basis is a blast, but also at times just there's a simplicity here. When I get tired and I just want to like drive, I'll just put it in drive mode. Majority of the time though, this car's in manual mode with the shift settings all the way to 5, and so you basically get the fastest shifting on this car. Alright guys, this is what it looks like after the road trip. So this car was completely clean, and now you can just see I got dust all over the the side skirts. Actually, I can see, it looks like I need to put another screw in there. I can see a little point where it's not matching up perfect. But my car hasn't been this dirty in so long. We had a heavy rain too. Look at my wheels. I don't know if you guys can see that. So dirty. Still looks good. Parked it outside for a little bit because the Z's taking the spot. The Z was completely clean and we were just driving it a lot, so I parked this out here, and then it happened to have a super heavy rain. But a lot of people ask me about the Force Center diffuser. This is the Force Center GTS-V diffuser. This isn't actually an authentic Force Center one, but I was still like a little let down with how this fit. You can see it's an authentic one, and you can see like right there, the fitment's not really, it's not perfect. There's definitely a little gap. And they mentioned, oh, screwing it from the back will fix that, and we actually did. We have it screwed right here and right here from the back. But yeah, and then here's what the interior looks like. Pretty happy I chose the red spec here. So one complaint that I think a lot of people have about my car in particular is that there's no carbon fiber roof. So my car actually has a sunroof. I do actually like it just because of the character that it provides for the car, but obviously a carbon fiber roof just makes more sense. It's lighter, you know, it's a part of the good reason why people buy a car like this is for, you know, to have little things like a carbon fiber roof. But for me, not that big of a deal. And then here's how it's currently sitting. But anyways, guys, feel free to comment below any questions that you guys have about the E92 M3, and I'll do my best to answer them to the best of my knowledge. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please hit that like button. If you got something to say, go ahead and comment, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.